Every sports fan on earth has had the thought, man, I could do a better job managing this team. But what if you actually had a chance? What if an MLB team handed you the reins? On August 24th, 1951, that insane fantasy became a reality when the St. Louis Browns, one of baseball's worst teams, literally let over 1,000 fans run the show. Lineups and pitching changes, even stolen bases, all decided by yes or no signs from the stands. This is Grandstand Managers Night, and it's one of the wildest true stories in baseball history. By the summer of 1951, the St. Louis Browns had nothing to lose. They were buried in last place in the American League, overshadowed in their own city by the more popular Cardinals, and struggling to fill the seats. But new owner, Bill Veeck, baseball's greatest showman, had no plans to go quietly. Think of him as if the Savannah Bananas owner owned an MLB team. He didn't just want to sell tickets, he wanted to create memories. Just 5 days after sending 3'7" Eddie Goodall to the plate in a publicity stunt that really pissed off baseball's conservative establishment, Veeck decided he wanted to hand the managerial reins to the fans. It was a social experiment, a challenge to the game's seriousness, and a wild night that left fans with a story they'd tell for the rest of their lives. To understand how such a bizarre idea came to reality, you have to understand the man behind it. Bill Veeck wasn't your typical baseball owner. He wasn't in it for the suits and skyboxes, he was in it for the people. A World War II veteran who lost part of his leg in combat, Veeck returned to baseball with a mission to shake things up. He had grown up around the game with his father being a Chicago Cubs president, and he believed that baseball, above all else, was entertainment. Veeck signed Satchel Paige at age 42, broke the American League color barrier with Larry Doby, and was never afraid to poke fun at the game's unwritten rules. For him, the fans weren't background noise, they were the heartbeat of the sport. In his own words, the fan comes away from the ballpark with nothing more to show for it than what's on his mind. The idea was outrageous. Let fans actually manage the team, like in real life, but Veeck was dead serious. In mid-August, he placed an ad in the St. Louis Globe-Democrat, calling on fans to submit their proposed starting lineups for an upcoming game against the Philadelphia Athletics. Over 4,000 submissions flooded in, and from those, Veeck chose 1,115 grandstand managers who would sit in a special section directly behind the Browns' dugout. He also picked two fans, Clark Mitzi and Charles E. Hughes, to act as the team's official on-field strategists, relaying yes or no decisions to the fans via cards. The real manager, Zach Taylor, was given the night off. Instead of his uniform, he wore a sports jacket, kicked back in a rocking chair with a pipe, and watched the game from the front row. As a technicality, one of the Browns players was listed as the manager, but only so that he could file the official lineup. It was the fans who were in charge now. The game was set for a Friday night under the lights at Sportsman's Park. Just over 3,900 fans showed up, but only those in the Grandstand Manager section had a vote. The opponent was the Philadelphia Athletics, who were nearly as bad as the Browns. Both teams were already eliminated from postseason contention, and it was a snoozer on paper. But not with Veeck in charge. The first drama came early. Browns starter Ned Garver, who would go on to win 20 games that year, gave up a quick 3 runs in the top of the first, including a home run to A's slugger Gus Zierno. A typical manager might have yanked him right there, but the fans were asked, should Garver stay? And they voted yes. He went on to pitch 8 scoreless innings after that. Then came the offensive decisions. The fans selected a lineup that included backup catcher Sherm Lawler, who normally sat behind Matt Batts. That's a name. In the bottom of the first, Lawler crushed a 3-run home run to tie the game. The fans also started Hank Arft at first base, who went 2 for 4 and drove in 2 more runs. Not every decision was golden though. In the first inning, the fans voted for Arft to attempt a steal. He got thrown out easily. Who would have thought? But overall, the crowd managed the game pretty well. They made the right call to play the infield back with men on base, and Pete Suter hit into a double play. They then advised against having Lawler attempt a steal due to his lack of speed. Another smart move. The Browns took the lead in the third and never looked back, winning 5-3. After the game, fireworks exploded above the stadium, spelling out, "Thanks GS managers for a swell job. Zach manages tomorrow." The stunt worked. The Browns got their 38th win of the season, and the fans got one hell of a story to tell. And Bill Veeck? Well, he once again made headlines. Not everyone was amused though. Athletics manager Jimmy Dykes called it a farce, and the A's front office considered filing a protest. But even legendary former manager Connie Mack, who was traveling with the A's that season, had fun sitting with Veeck in the grandstand. According to Veeck, Mack enjoyed himself tremendously. As for the Browns, they'd finished the season in dead last. Veeck tried to move them to Baltimore the next year, but was blocked by other owners. He eventually sold the club, and in 1954, the franchise relocated to Baltimore to become the Orioles. In the long and weird history of baseball promotions, Grandstand Managers Night still stands alone. It was the only time in Major League history that fans directly managed a team during a game, and amazingly, they didn't screw it up. The story has aged well, especially in the age of social media, where fans argue every managerial decision in real time. With modern technology, the idea of a fan-managed game isn't as far-fetched as it once was, but back in 1951, this was revolutionary. It gave the power to the people and made baseball fun at a time when the Browns had little else going for them, and it captured the spirit of Veeck, bold, goofy, and obsessed with the fan experience. In the end, even though Grandstand Managers Night was kind of a gimmick, it's a reminder of why people love sports. It's not just about winning, it's about feeling involved, about being part of something bigger than yourself, about thinking for just a moment that maybe you could do it better than the pros. And on that one summer night in 1951, the fans did exactly that.